Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome back to another episode of Mario's Minute. In case you do not know, this is the second podcast I do here. Yes, second one. My main podcast is Mod Chat, where I kind of talk about some interesting things at least once a month in the world of modding with video games, video game consoles, all that fun stuff. That's not necessarily a news show, but it's a bit more focused and such. But this is my second podcast here, Mario's Minute, where I kind of just talk about whatever the hell I want to on here. Sometimes I have a guest on here. Sometimes I don't. I try and alternate between months on here, and this month we do have a guest on, thankfully, so it should hopefully be a good show. Now, if you are listening to this, checking it out, whatever it might be, it is available in two different forms. First of all, the main place people seem to consume the show is on my YouTube channel, Mr. Mario 2011, where you can check it out there, and you can check out the cool looking visualizer. At least I think it's cool looking, but there's not too much going on there. There's some conversation though, which is always fun to join in the comment section. But you can also listen to this like an actual podcast. Many people do not know that on many different podcasting apps, sites, hosts, providers. Simply look up Mario's Minute and you should hopefully be able to find that. Well, with all of that out of the way here, I think we can bring our guest on. And as I always ask to my guest here, who the hell are you?
Hello. I am known as a great many things. If you watch YouTube, I am known as GameRaveTV. I discuss PlayStation variants and all goofy things. I also go by the name Jason and Danger Boy, depending on what social media platform you're on. And I am here with the best radio voice I've ever heard. I specifically held that back for the recording.
Oh, thank you. Well, awesome, man. Dude, I really appreciate you joining in.
Thanks for inviting me. It's pretty cool.
Oh.
I like the guy that assembled the team that rescued the Doom demo. I'm gonna say yes. It's
Oh.
gonna be okay.
Oh my god, I think you're giving me too much credit there, but I will say real quick, first of all, thank you on the radio voice, but I have had some before. I was in an interview before, not with like this, but like a job interview. And it's funny because the guy, like right off the bat, he's like, dude, you have like such a powerful voice. You have like a voice made for radio. And I was like, well, are you saying I have a face for radio? Is that what you're trying to say? And he's like, no, but I knew that you were going to bring that up as it was all coming out of my mouth. And then it was fine. I got the job. I was happy and all that. But yes, no, I think it's the mic setup and all that. It does a little bit of something.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, how are you doing, man?
Certain things aside, I'm actually doing quite well. Actually, I think I'm down to the last 46 games to add, which I already own, that I need to add to GameRave.com with a hyphen. Otherwise, you get some San Diego store.
Okay.
And everything's been going great. Just adding games to the site. I must start adding in and scanning in demos. Just working on programmers cheats. Like life has been really good in the hobby.
That's awesome, man. For anybody who doesn't exactly know you or know about the Game Rave brand, I guess how do you define yourself, or what do you do for anybody who just might be listening to you for the first time here?
Okay. So the website is game-rave.com, and the short history is a long time ago, everyone was collecting Nintendo games and going for a full set, and I was like, well, I want to be different, and I decided at the time, while it was still active, I would go for a full PlayStation 1 library in the US. And after Discover Card came knocking, long story short, I have there's stories. There are so many stories. I basically now have a full US set with an ongoing variant collection. As far as I know, I should now have every known greatest hits. I just got a new variant in this morning. And like I basically archive, review, discuss all the games. I do screenshots. I talk about them on GameRaveTV, and basically I act as the unofficial nice guy to talk to if you need to know why there's a sticker variant of this game from 20 years ago.
That's awesome. And it's mostly, I mean, you don't just collect PlayStation, but it's mostly PS1, right? That's where like the big love is.
Yeah, it's my baby. Like I basically this is a story for later time, I guess, or even later in the podcast, but
Sure.
I used to have about 4,000 games at one point, and that was when I was still cataloging them. And then one day I essentially had a nervous breakdown in a parking lot, and was like, what am I doing with my life? And I essentially sold everything off that wasn't my true fanboy systems and collections, and the PS1 is the flagship. Like, there is more of my life in that stupid gray deck than anything else in this entire condo. So like, it was just love at first sight.
But
I have so much legacy with
and
that.
and see, I'm not sighing in a bad way. I'm sighing because it's like I feel like you can resonate with this with me here, but would you agree? Like, even if you just look at the PS1 console, it just kind of sparks some little bit of joy
Yes.
inside of you, like even just looking at the console itself.
Yes, in fact, just to do the love at first sight thing, 25 years ago, God, I'm old. Um, I was part of a anime club. That we used to meet up at a library, and one of the members was, I'm assuming, either he had really good credit cards or he was rich beyond my dreams, because he always had the newest anything Japanese game systems every time we came. It didn't matter if it was Neo Geo, Saturn, whatever, he had it. And the one day we showed up, he happened to have the Japanese launch PlayStation. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's that CD thing that Nintendo was trying to do, whatever. Let's look up. And he was playing Ridge Racer, and he had a Game Shark code running that made the car go so fast when it hits the bump in the one stage, it goes flying. I saw that, and I was like, I'm interested. And and then he threw in Toshinden, and I was like, well, I guess I know where my money's going.
That's awesome.
And the
Yeah,
rest is history.
see, I wasn't I was aware of the PlayStation at the time, but like I even had one like after its heyday and all that. But it's funny because I've talked with someone who I guess he was kind of or active with it around that time as well too. It was kind of the opposite for him, funny enough. He was thinking the cartridge systems were superior because his
Oh,
example game he was using was Mortal Kombat, and
no, no, wait. It's MK64.
I
Is this
don't
the example?
I don't know what he was comparing it to, but he was
Oh,
playing I'm pretty sure he was playing Mortal Kombat 3 on the PlayStation, and it was
okay.
just the loading times
Yeah,
were really bad, and it's like, okay, like, even not only loading between stages, but even just to, like, pull off a fatality or anything, like, you could hear the disc just churning and
yeah.
loading, which
Oh, dude.
I can understand now. It's like, oh, like, as an adult more, I'm like, okay, it was probably just poor optimization on there. They didn't know how to utilize it or anything, because like, Ridge Racer didn't have that issue. Ridge Racer load the entire game into memory.
Oh, dude. I don't have many hills I die on. But I will fight tooth and nail to anyone that says the N64 Mortal Kombat trilogy is better than the PlayStation version. And they always go back to, well, there's no loading time. I'm like, that's because there's no frames of animation.
That's valid. I've actually never I don't think I've ever played the Mortal Kombat games on N64.
Oh, yeah, there's four too. But like, oh my god, trilogy's so bad. It's so bad.
Good to know. I played Trilogy on PlayStation, like I own it on PlayStation. So good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome though.
to be completely fair, they're both broken beyond their means. But the N64 is just the one. Like, it's just it. The N64 version is like, if you really hate yourself beyond the measure of a doubt, that's the one you go with.
Okay. That's valid. Yeah, it's even the N64. It's one of those systems where it's. I- I've seen some things about it recently as well too, where it's like some people are saying, and I believe this, where it's recently gotten a lot of unfair like love, or I guess unfair hate against it, which is kind of getting more into the cultural zeitgeist now, and it seems like everybody hates the N64. I don't say I hate it, but it's I worked at a game shop about 10-12 years ago now, actually over 10 years ago. Geez, okay, time's flying. Anyways, even back then, because it was one of the retro systems there, and my belief has always been the same. It's kind of like, it's a good system, but well, there's only like 5 games that people want on it. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah. Like,
other games that people will enjoy and have attachments to, but it's like, well, you get it in 64, you get like 5 games, which are the most expensive ones because nobody wants to sell them, and you're kind of settled at that point.
yeah. What's weird is like, the especially if you're comparing them to the PlayStation, the N64 is a really, I don't want to say bizarre. It's a really interesting case study, because the PlayStation and N64 both had a ton of multiplayer games, both had, like, their 4-player games, but probably for a second. But like, it's always the N64 that people come back to, they remember playing like 4-player GoldenEye, 4-player Mario Kart, 4-player Mario Party. You don't really get that same memories with people like with Crash Bash or Crash Team Racing.
Hmm.
So the 64 definitely did its job as the family fun machine, as I said on the box, but for some reason, like, its library just couldn't hold up outside of the first party stuff.
Hmm. Would you say that a part of that is also that you did need a multi-tab? Like growing up, I didn't know anybody who had a multi-tab for the PlayStation systems, but the N64, oh, hey, 4 controllers, like right there, we're all good to go.
I would agree. Like it's kind of weird. Like, see, what's funny is the trade off is the PlayStation, you had to go buy the multi-tab for your multiplayer games, but then on the N64 you had to buy 18 memory cards just to save one game. So like there was a crazy trade off. But yeah, definitely, there was definitely a paywall, unintentional or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Yeah. I know even we were kind of tangent to N64, but even with the PS1 thing, I was just fascinated by this. But because you were saying love at first sight with this, but I'm just I've really been wanting to know. I have such a respect for it, but where did the love for PS1 come from?
You know what? It's kind of hard to explain. Initially, like, oh man, let me think about this for a second.
All
So
good.
like, so like, I think what it was is the this is actually a topic I'm planning on talking about in an upcoming video. By upcoming, I mean I don't know when.
Okay.
So I adored the Super Nintendo. Like, that was the Super Nintendo was my Neo Geo. Like, I couldn't believe the graphics. It had all the games I wanted to play. It had the Street Fighters, Final Fantasy, etc. And coming off that the PlayStation was supposed to be the CD-ROM upgrade, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be so cool, blah blah blah. But then at the time when all that chaos was going on, the main um the main gist of the gaming universe was a failing Sega CD, a failing 3DO, a failing Jaguar, and a lot of like, and the failing Laser Active, my god. Um and there was just this vibe that, like, I was falling out of gaming because there was nothing I wanted to play anymore. Like, it just, like, there was nothing on the Jaguar that had the brand recognition on the Super Nintendo, and to a degree the Genesis.
Sure.
And I literally there's a side story in this, but we'll skip that. So I had actually sold off everything but my TurboGrafx and like 2 games for it. And I started playing the one game because I had never played the TG before. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'll keep on this for whatever. And then I saw the PlayStation for the first time, and when it finally was coming to America, I fell in love with an arcade game called Street Fighter Alpha. And the Saturn at the time didn't have any games I was really looking at, and I didn't like the 3D aspect. And once again, we went to the anime club, and Mr. Import System guy had Street Fighter Zero and the demo of Final Fantasy VII. And when I saw how perfect Alpha 1 was, even with the loading times, I was like, I can't hold off anymore. And then he stuck in Final Fantasy VII's demo and cast Shiva, and I might as well have just stolen the system right there from him. So like, we got home that night from the club, from the anime club.
Yeah, from the club, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next day I went right to work, said I need every extra hour you can give me, saved up. A month and a half later, I walked into a mall. Every game store was out of PlayStations. Went to, I can't remember their name now, Gamers Paradise, whose main rub was normally like D&D and all that good stuff and trading card games. They had one PlayStation left. Bought it with the money, went home, played the demo, went to go pick up Street Fighter Alpha the next day, and it got delayed a week.
Oh.
So I literally played the first one track Wipeout demo on the Purple Pix PlayStation CD for a week straight.
That sounds like a good week, though.
It was. Got off of school, ran to the mall, slammed down my $66 for the long box Street Fighter Alpha Warriors Dreams, ran home, literally played one round, ran to work, got home at 10 p.m., and then played that straight for like 6 hours. And that was all she wrote. I was a PlayStation guy from then on out.
All right. I got you. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then, but even with the PS1 in particular, it seems like that love has still continued on, even just it's grown into much more of an appreciation, like delving into even like the back end of it as well, too. That I'm sure
Oh yeah.
it seems like this hasn't like because even your main platforms, like modern platforms, I'm sure you're on PlayStation, but like the same love hasn't just carried over to like the PS4, PS5, has it?
No, to be honest, not real. Like, I was actually talking to the missus about this the other day. It's like if we're talking like where am I at in my gaming harem right now, my newest Xbox console is still a 360. I have a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I don't know if I'll ever get a PlayStation 5.
Hmm.
Like gaming just seems to be destroying itself in the modern era between DLC and licensing and NFTs and all this good stuff. And it's just like, as much as I still love Street Fighter, like watching my favorite PS1 games of like Dead or Alive and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat be ripped apart with like $40 to $600 of extra DLC. I can just go to my PS1 and play Alpha 3 and have all the characters already. It's
Hmm.
like I I don't know, like and that's not to say that I hate modern gaming. Like I adore Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us and so forth, but like that that core deep appreciation, like I will take you to the grave, has never been touched since the PlayStation. Like
Hmm.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I can feel that. I was gonna say, I mean, because I guess I was kind of you can say, known for the Xbox 360 stuff, so I'm a little bit biased. But like you're saying, your last Xbox was a 360, that's totally fine. Like as long as it's
Yeah.
one of the reliable models, it's okay. So I get that. Like when I'm delving into something, it's funny because it's like I can be, covering other systems, like I can have appreciation and joy with them, but it's just when I'm working on something either on or off camera, when it comes to 360, like something literally awakens inside of me and it harkens back to like that staying up until 3 a.m. type
Oh
thing
yeah,
of
dude.
working on something and just delving in and like wanting more, like not even being able to go to sleep. I try to go to sleep and then like I'm failing at it. So 5 a.m. I'm right back at it, like enjoying this all. So I totally get that. For me, out of those systems, like I love I have that love for the 360 for sure. And I would even say, to me, it's probably it is my preferred system. Even like it's far from perfect, mind you, but close to what it can be, just as long as you get yourself a reliable version of it, because of course it's
Yeah.
also so known for the failures.
Oh, definitely. Like I'm actually rocking the Halo Reach edition since day one,
Okay.
which was my replacement because my original Xbox Elite was stolen.
Sorry to
So
hear, that's
it's
violating.
oh yeah, it was. Well, what was so funny was is the sequence of events was I got into the and this is once again how old I am. I got into the beta for what was then the new dashboard for Xbox 360. Had
Mm-hmm.
it installed, went to work the next day, got the got the info that my house had been broken into, and got home, and my only real reaction, aside from all like the crazy depression and so forth, was son of a bitch, all my save files.
No,
I didn't
that's
care about the
real.
system itself, but I was like, my 500 hours of Fallout are gone.
Yeah, and that was before we had the cloud backup and all that
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And that was also, I'm thinking, because do you remember which dashboard beta that was? Was that the Connect dashboard or was that the
It was
NXT?
it was the I'm terrible with that stuff. It was the first time, for lack of a better description, it looked like an iPod where it was like the squares instead of like the blades or like the menu system. Like it looked like you
Hmm.
were looking through like an iTunes.
Was it green or was it white?
It was white,
That was the
like you were
Connect one. Okay.
yeah, that you're standing on the floor, like you were standing on the white floor. Yeah.
Okay, okay, gotcha. I do remember that one, yes. So, yeah, so I guess even at that point, I think USB drives were working at that point, or they were close to working, but I even hazard a guess. I'm not sure if USB backup was a thing at that point.
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would.
I don't remember which dashboard they integrated it in, but it was definitely there in Connect. I don't think it was in NXE, but the point is, so you might not even been able to back up your stuff over to a USB drive.
Yeah. No, it was all gone. I think, but the thing was is like like after like everything was taken care of, I got the replacement Xbox. Of course, I was playing Reach. Then I was like, oh no, I'll have to restart all my favorite games ever, like Mass Effect and Fallout 3. Whatever will I do? So it had a happy ending.
Okay. Okay, that works. See, that's me with Grand Theft Auto 3. Like that's my all-time favorite game, and it's dangerous because I keep rebuying it. I don't learn. I keep rebuying it, and then when I start playing it, I just keep playing until I finish the game. Like it's not
Dude,
like I'm there for 8 hours straight, but it's like that's the only game I'm playing, and it's like 2 days later, oh, I'm done with this game.
dude, like like I kept that's Alpha 3. Like I rebought Alpha 3 so many times, not realizing I already owned it. I had like 4 copies for Dreamcast at one point.
That's amazing. That's when you need to start like keeping, I'm sure you have this, like keeping like a spreadsheet or something. It's like, okay, I need to not rebuy the same thing over and over.
If I was smart, yeah. It's kind of flying by the seat of my pants right now.
Oh god.
Yeah, got to refer to the Wallow games every time I need to check something on eBay.
I understand. I get that. It's a lot of work and it's kind of annoying making that spreadsheet, but like personally I have one for my games. Almost all my games are in there, not all of them, but a good amount of them are, and it's saved me a whole lot of money. I'll tell you that after I assemble the spreadsheet.
Oh yeah, like I think once I get all the games on site, I'll actually sit down and like properly start carefully logging everything, because I think the biggest problem with me is like it's not so much a short attention span. It's just that I need instant gratification, and when you're looking at 2,000 games before lifespan and demos, hitting that first Excel slot's just like, oh god damn it.
I totally get that. Yeah, that's when I kind of just had to go mindless with it for a bit. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run some music in the background, look at, because I took images of my game walls, and then I would have the image on one side of the screen, the spreadsheet on the other, and I was like, okay, thank
Yep.
goodness I can type fast.
Oh my god. I would say not I said not the name drop per se, but if you have never listened to them, there's the Collector Quest podcast. If you want to laugh your ass off, there's an older episode called All Your Lists Are Bad. And it is basically 3 people airing out their grievances about how they file and catalog their collections, and it's the funniest thing you'll ever listen to as far as keeping an Excel sheet.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
That's awesome. And I was gonna say, even with your con with the PS4 Pro, I'll tell you the the main reason why I got a PS5 really is because I had the PS4, I had the PS4 Pro. Man, the PS4 Pro is loud. It
Yes,
is
it is.
like I've had a couple of them. Granted, they are the some of the original models, but it's like it was so loud to the point like I couldn't really enjoy using it because like, dude, I'm just trying to play a game, and why is it that like okay, I guess like with the way sound acoustics work and all that, there was like a vortex going on, but it's like okay, I'm in my basement. I go upstairs and like the door is there and it sounds like there's like some sirens screaming from my PS4 and it's like the game is just paused. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, I would say when I threw in Horizon uh, Forbidden West, I was like, man, I can't wait to play this game. And then I saw a waitress come out with a cart of like alcohol, and I was like, oh, this is going to take off. And sure enough, the fan just spun up. It was like,
Oh
holy
my
crap.
god. That's great.
Yeah.
I my girlfriend has she's got the PS5 as well, but she was coming from because I had the Pro, she had the Slim. Even though I like the extra specs on the Pro, I was jealous of her Slim just because she didn't know what I was talking about. She never had issues with it being loud. Like
Oh, really?
it always just purred for her, and that was it.
It likes her better. I see how it is.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, and I treat mine right. I open it up, I cleaned it, I repasted it, I even put an SSD in there, and it's like, hey, my games load a little bit faster and the menu system is nicer, but I can't hear what's going on.
Yeah, I throw earphones in them. I'm like, I'll throw earphones in the controller. We're fine.
I understand. I'm not a big earphone person. Like even for me, like I'm using them right now to record this, but I'm the type of person I like to use my space when it comes to my speakers and stuff, and I like to feel the experience as well.
Oh yeah,
So
dude. Like I live in a condo right now, and like So I really can't use my 5-point surround speakers because the first day of quarantine 2 years ago, I got a letter from one of my neighbors through the HOA that said I was laughing too loud.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, well, if that's the case, I guess I won't turn the speakers up when I
Wow.
when I play Metal Gear Solid, so it's
S
okay.
See, that's never stopped me, and I've had my stuff up a bit loud, but I think when like, some of my favorite times it's always horror games are really great for it, but,
Oh yeah.
there was one time, I introduced a friend to PT, and he was
Oh.
like, "Man, this game's probably not gonna be that scary." He told me he had to stop playing it because of my sound system. Because at one point, there was, like, a violent knocking in the game, and the speaker was like right next to him and you could feel the knocking, and he just put that down on the controller. He's like, nope, no, your sound system is messing with me too much, like I cannot do this. There was another time I was playing Silent Hill 2, and one of my friends came over, and the way I had it set up in another apartment, like I had my satellite speakers kind of up on my shelves, and it was disturbing playing like this, but it sounded like there was creatures like retching and walking through my dark hallway because I was also playing in the dark. But at one point, like my friend came over and he's just like sitting on the couch watching me play this for a bit before we go, and he's like, "Dude, your sound system is crazy. This is doing things to me." Because also he was high when he came over
Oh
too, so like
Jesus.
that was a whole other addition to it.
That's the point two part of the speaker system.
Exactly,
Oh my god,
exactly.
dude! Like
Yes.
if we're sharing notes about playing games in the dark, going back to the 360, I jumped in late into the Fear series,
Hmm.
and I bought the entire set on Xbox 360 used from GameStop for like $5. Like it was just an
Nice.
amazing thing. So at the time, I was at a house, and I forgot that I was playing with the lights off. So, in order to set this situation up, I am sitting in an architect's chair, which is basically like a normal kitchen chair, but it's like way the fuck up off the floor.
Sure.
I am at my art desk. I have a giant 27-inch iMac, which is the only light in the room aside from the Xbox 360's TV screen.
Hmm.
It gets to the part, I think it's the first Fear, where you're chasing the computer guy, and you see him through another window, and he looks at you, and he looks at this keyboard, and he looks right through the window and stares you into the heart, in your heart, and just goes, I wonder what this key does. And just as he pressed it, my Mac went into sleep mode, turning the entire room dark. I freaked out, and the force of me freaking out, I fell over backwards, taking the controller of my headset and half my desk with me.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's an amazing experience.
It was so good. The only other time I've knocked myself out of the chair was when I got my Wii on launch day and went to kick the football in Madden. And if you've never played Madden on the Wii, you
Never.
kick with the attached nunchuck. Well, my Wii wand hand, or remote hand, was left of my neck, and the nunchuck was in the right. And I went to like kick as hard as possible, thinking like the harder the motion did, and I did, and I clotheslined myself out of the chair.
Oh god. I mean, these are like you're describing to me like 4D experiences. These are
Oh,
great priceless gaming experiences.
they're 4B experiences because they're all the bruises I got from doing.
But that's great. It's like, how did you get this? It's like, well, you see, I was playing Madden on the Wii.
Yeah, see, I used to work at GameStop at that time. I was just like, so how's that Madden for the Wii? It's violent. It actually tackles you.
You truly feel it. This time the game is real.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking I haven't had anything like that directly, but it's just reminded me of another game, and it's not even a video game. Funny enough, I've never, I don't think I've ever told this story on my channel. But have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
Yes, a couple times. Great game.
Okay. Okay, I love it. I have one of the original sets. Like I had the original set and the first like 5 or 6 expansions on it. And I
Nice.
always say like it was a perfect thing to own in college because like I was able to host several get-togethers with it, but also I got invited to several friends get-togethers because I was known as the guy who had it. So it got to the point I didn't even keep it in my apartment. I kept it in my car
Mm,
constantly. And I did that for years. I kept that habit up. So even for several years, I didn't play it. And there was once where it was like I was at a little bit of a house party. This just a few years ago, and I was at this house party, and it, there was nothing really going on. Just, the vibes didn't feel right. Like, it was just kind of awkward and odd and stuff. Like, nobody was really connecting. And one person comes, she's like, "Hey, I got Cards Against Humanity," and I was like, I'm not trying to one up you, but I have that with all the expansions." And she's like, "What? Get it right now." I was like, "Yeah, it's in my car." And then, like, we just had an amazing time playing it that night. So even years later, it's still great. But my favorite experience with it, which I've let people borrow my deck as well too, and I have shared this with it because I've let people borrow and they're like, "Yeah, I've heard of this game, but I've never played it." So this is pretty much when I tell people why this is simultaneously the best and worst game ever. At one point in college, I had several friend groups, but it's like I had one friend group who we all, we regularly like hung out like almost every week at like, like a Friday night, Saturday night or something, going to someone's apartment. I'd hosted many times because I didn't mind. And one of the girls in this friend group, she had just broken up with someone she was dating, and we were like, "You know what? Hey, let's have like a night where we all get together and like, we can hang out, we can drink a bit, we can play Cards Against Humanity. Hey, you want to bring your roommate too? Sure, that's all good because your roommate's going through a breakup as well." So we're going through everything and like we're having a good time. And she picks up one of the cards, she's laughing, and you just see her face drop. And I don't remember what exactly the card said, but I think it said something like, "Why did my ex break up with me?"
Oh.
Yeah, and we're all just there. It is just the most awkward thing, and we're just kind of silently communicating. We're like, "Okay, just throw in a card. Don't just throw in a card. We're trying to make this go as fast as possible." And all of us do this, and she's there. She's like, "Okay, yeah, just make me feel like shit, everyone. Just make me feel bad. Okay, just throw in your cards, whatever you want." By the time we did it quickly, but pretty much by the time we all tossed in our white cards, she had like stood up and she was pretty much like having like a breakdown and freaking out about this. And then
Oh.
not her coworker, her I guess technically coworker, but her roommate had to like calm her down, all that, and then other people had to as well. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, wow, like what are the chances this happened and we assembled this and you of all people pulled this card? Like, this is why this is the best and worst game ever made. I love it.
Yes. I was thinking, going back to how it rescued the party. I was like, yes, Cards Against Humanity, the defibrillator of party
Yes. Yeah,
favors.
no, that's really how it is. So like the last like couple years, because I've still been careful with COVID and all that. So I haven't been going out as much, but like so it's kind of just been sitting on, I guess, like my small little shelf of card games and all that. But yeah, like I said, for several years I just kept it in the trunk of my car.
It's better than a spare tire, baby.
That is true. Although I did have a spare tire, don't worry. Didn't have to use it, but I did have a spare tire. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of this too, even with the PS1. But I know you'd brought this up like a little bit at the beginning, but even I've noticed, and you've shared with it as well too. It's like there's a lot of like nitty gritty, about like the back end processes of this, and maybe not as much like I'm not talking about like development or anything, but I'm talking like you knew about the sticker placement and like printing processes and everything. And this might be a big question, but like how do you get to that point?
Well, I used a Game Shark code. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and um, actually, to bounce off that, going back to the like the love of the PlayStation, it was the
Yeah,
PlayStation's advertising campaign for the pre-orders that like basically hooked me in. Um,
really.
yeah. So for those that don't know, um, when Sony was preparing the pre-orders, they used what was called the Red E campaign. And the way it worked is they had phonetically spelled Sony, Sone, but the E was lowercase, backwards, and red. So what was implied is you were supposed to read it as Red E 9th of September.
Okay.
Sony slash and then Enos like lives. Um and the when you pre-ordered it, you got a music CD called Hear It Now, Play It Later. And when you took it home, you listened to it in your CD player and so forth. And then when you finally picked up your PlayStation at launch, you threw it back in. It had all these developer demos showing like how transparencies worked and how like the infamous T Rex played in the texture quality. And
Okay.
And from all of those things, just the graphic design of the ads and the ad campaigns and how the boxes looked and so forth, like it just absorbed me in. And thankfully, being a graphic designer, um it helps me spot things that could be variants and so forth, like literally like a font difference or like a spacing difference, or potentially a change in the color of the greatest hit stripe might mean it's a new printing and so forth.
I got you.
Yeah, so that rabbit hole was automatically given to me before
Okay.
the start. But yeah, and then just rabid curiosity. Um, like when you're variant collecting, like I give huge props to like the Nintendo collectors who like have to like look at box tabs to find serial numbers and then sort out what the serial number means. And I've seen NES collectors who can map out what subscription card and like what styrofoam type was used at this, and that's like,
Oh wow.
holy cow! Like I don't think I'm there yet, but maybe I am from a different angle.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just it my love goes farther than the games, like just the app, like how the one episode I have about the rogue graphic designers, like just the nifty little package design things they'll do that just make the game stand out that much more to someone.
Hmm. I miss stuff like that as well too, where you don't get as many personal touches like to a game like that in games that you pick up now. And I'm just thinking of like, especially even just kind of a basic thing, but more like the Rockstar games that were coming out several generations ago, where it's like, I think Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, for example, the manual was a newspaper.
Yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah, like
I think, and sorry on that, but like Manhunt, I was thinking of
the
that. I
VHS tape design.
Was it a VHS tape or was it a catalog?
The instruction manual I think was a catalog. I was thinking of the PC version. The PC version, the spine was designed to look like it was a cassette tape from like the
Oh, yeah,
security
yeah, that was
cameras.
like the logo and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was thinking of the manual there, and yeah, I definitely missed that.
yeah. Ah, dude, like seriously, like there was like just by removing the manual from like the modern game, like it takes away so much of the personality.
Hmm.
Like on the positive side, you always have the instruction manual in the game, so that's fine. But like opening up Final Fantasy VII and seeing that full spread of Aerith looking up at the airship, or like opening up Need for Speed 3 and it's the entire car's dashboard, like
Hmm.
that just for like a better phrase got you in the mood for the game. Like it was just fantastic.
Hmm. Yeah, and the thing that I find disappointing is because I'm one of those people, I still like to pick up games physically, and there's even times I will import if something is physical in a different territory. So
Mhm.
Square Enix is pretty infamous for that with the Switch. So there's been several Square Enix remakes that, or remasters, I guess, that you can pick up in Asian territories that play perfectly fine in English. And the thing that I hate about them is not only they're more expensive, like whatever, I can eat the cost, but it's
Yeah.
like my dumbass really just imported this and I open it up and there's no cover art or anything on the inside, no manual, nothing. It's white. Like it is
Oh,
blinding white.
that sucks.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's like some of the EA games. Like I think it's I'm drawing a blank. I want to say I think it's the greatest hits of Nuclear Strike. Like you can see the greatest hit spine, and then you open the case, and there's literally just white. It's like, guys, come on.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like yeah, the whole half of a penny you saved in ink.
Hmm. But hey, that was
Thanks.
half of a penny. And I think Nuclear Strike, wasn't that even a cheaper greatest hits game? Because I always remember seeing it for like $10.
Yeah, I think that when it first came out, it was like $20, and then usually back then, like and to a degree, this day, like greatest hits always had that like well, it's not the black label. I'm not going to buy that. It's not the good one. So once the games went there, you'd see them like start being clearanced out because no one wanted to buy the bright green stripe.
Yep.
But I love the bright green stripe. It just it. Going back to the graphic designer thing, I think I love about the green stripe is that, especially at the time when it was out, when it was like the Saturn and the Jaguar, even the PlayStation itself, it was nothing but like black, just black boxes, black cases, etc. And then you
Hmm.
turn slightly, and there's just this obnoxious green staring at you. You're like, I'm going to check that out. What is that calling to me?
Okay. Huh,
Yeah.
that's actually the first I've heard about that, because even for me, it's like it's not like I stay away from those greatest hits versions, but it's like, well, I'd rather have the black label ones.
Yeah, like, no, yeah, for some reason, like, people that are collecting, like, they just want, like, one of every game or just wanna collect, like, what they wanna collect for the system. Like, I have seen them, like, adamantly just, like, shun away greatest hits games, and I'll be like, "You do realize that's got the better code, right?" Like,
Mm,
it's
that
got the
is
code
true.
revision, you know? Or, like,
Yes.
in Jurassic Park, it's got the extra stuff, or, like, not Dave Mirra, what was it? Or, like, Jet Moto, it's a completely different game per se. But
Is
it
it?
just, yeah, so so short version. Um, when Sony apparently had this rule that unless it was a required code revision fix or to improve the game, you couldn't make a different game for the greatest hits. Like, you couldn't make a quote unquote gold edition like they were doing for the PCs. Well,
Okay.
one of the developers of Jet Moto 2 was like, screw this, I want to make the game better. And one of the things he did is he stripped out, I think he removed somewhere between 2 to 4 of the rivals in the race, and that freed up so much memory that the game now ran at like 60 frames a second high res. And he made some other
Really?
modifications. I think some of the tracks are slightly different. And he submitted to Sony for the greatest hits, and they were like, "You can't have this. It's a different game. You have to ship us the other version." And the that's fairy tale. I guess the rumor, I can't think of the legend is that he was like, "Okay, cool," and he just shipped his version and didn't tell anyone, and that is the version on the greatest hits disc. So yeah, it's literally two different versions of Jet Moto 2 based on which one you're playing.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's just like,
Huh.
I the audacity, and I say that in a positive way, of that guy just going, "Yeah, F it. We're
Yeah.
good. Who's gonna
Yeah, yeah.
notice?"
That was that was the attitude of the '90s. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dubbed the championship edition of Jet Moto 2 because of the changes.
Okay, and I will have to track that down then, because I don't know if I have Jet Moto 2, and I'm not sure if I have the greatest hits one or not.
Yeah, what's cool is, I don't think I have it on my site, but if you do a search for it, like, through Google, you can actually see what would have been the actual real concept art for it. And they're
Hmm.
like, "No, no, you can't do that." And they're like, "Oh, okay, here's Jet Mode 2, quote unquote."
Okay, gotcha. Do you think would they have allowed like a actual Jet Moto 2 Championship Edition release?
I
Like
think they
as a
I
separate release.
Yeah, I think they would have, just because look at, although I don't know how much farther after it was. I can't remember the time frame. I think it was further after, but just look at Dave Mirra Ultimate Remix. Like, it's basically the gold edition of a game, but it's not the original, so they could publish it out as a separate game and then re-release the original game as the greatest hits.
I'm actually not familiar with that one. I know of Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, but I don't know of the Ultimate Remix one.
Yeah, it's got a grayish cover.
Oh, okay. I can visualize it now.
Yeah, it's just, they gave you extra tracks and a couple extra. I think some of their bikes are unlocked automatically.
Gotcha. I'm thinking of because I was thinking of this the other day, just how crazy this was with Resident Evil 1 and 2, the DualShock editions that came out. Because I think
Yes.
the first one, like, well, the first one, because there was that, and then there was the director's cut, and there was the director's cut with DualShock, and
Yep.
that had its own criticisms. But I was more thinking too, like, I remember I was helping a friend convert Resident Evil 2. This is so many years ago, convert it to work on the PSP, and he was specifically wanting the DualShock edition, which I was like, oh, I'm not sure if there's that much of a difference, because you're playing on a PSP, so there's no DualShock to begin with. But I'm not huge into Resident Evil 2. Like, I respect the game. I think it's awesome. It's just I'm not as obsessed about it as like he was, for example, where he knows the game in now and can
Yeah.
beat it within probably 2 hours in his sleep or something.
Nice.
But I know that not only they added DualShock on there, but they just added a whole bunch of I think they had a whole bunch of other fixes, and they had different modes and characters unlockables, and there was a substantial amount added into that DualShock version.
Nice.
Yeah,
I say,
and
I haven't gotten to that yet in my review playthrough,
okay.
so I'll have to pay attention to that then.
Okay, yeah, there was it was not as simple as, oh, hey, we can use the analog sticks. Like, no, there was more to it.
You know what's funny if you think about it? Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Director's Cut, and then the DualShock re-release. Like, was that basically just $30 DLC?
Pretty
Like, we're just buying
much.
physical DLC.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of what I was thinking of with it as well too. That's kind of what it was. Yeah. Except I know A lot of people really dislike a lot of the changes that were made with the original director's cut there, especially the soundtrack.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
or
not.
the fact that like I still love that the U.S. Resident Evil 1's director's cut, they forgot to uncensor the opening. That was always funny.
Yes, yeah, so I remember there was, like, uncensored patches that were floating around, and I remember at the time, like, I was younger when I found out about that, and I was like, "Wait, why do you have to, like, patch it to be uncensored? Like, isn't the whole point of a director's cut of it being uncensored?"
Yeah. Oh my god. Speaking of patches, if you could use a little self depreciation humor, I am very naive when it comes to technology, which is why I love your videos because
Oh,
they're
well,
very
thank you.
cool and do things. So when I was a ye younger lad in my 20s, I was a console guy. I didn't really play computer games. I once tried to install Mortal Kombat 2 on my Pentium 133, and it was like a quarter of the screen and no frame rate. So I'm like, I'll just play everything else on console. One day I was talking to a friend who worked at EB Games, and was talking about how if I was excited for the patch coming out for Tomb Raider, and I think it was the gold patch before the actual physical version came out. And
Okay.
I looked at it, and he realized I was looking at him cross-eyed, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "How would a patch work? How would it read the disc then?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "Well, where would you put the patch on the bottom of the disc? Like, wouldn't it not be able to read the other info?" And my friend just stopped and just put the box of shipment down and came over and hugged me and just said, "Please don't ever change."
That's amazing.
Yep, and that's when I learned what a patch was.
Hmm, yeah. Well, see, the important thing is you learned. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and even to your point with, like, I guess the technical side of it, I think I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. I think there is a whole lot of technical know-how there, but I will say on the other side, that's very much a thing of I've had to, I guess, in the whole YouTuber content creator space, I guess you can say, I've had to kind of remind myself of that as well too, because for me it's like I've always been a technical person. I've always been fascinated by, like, electronics, computers especially, but it's technology, how it works, all that fun stuff. Like for me, for example, I was working on stuff earlier today where I have a Plex server set up and it just has tons
Nice.
of movies, TV shows, and all that. But a part of that is, like, I legitimately get enjoyment setting it up, building it out, even like troubleshooting. Yeah, it can be a little bit annoying, but like I love that process. I love the
Mhm.
point of like server building. I enjoy all of that thoroughly. I'm not as much like I enjoy tinkering with things. That's part of the game to me, so to speak. But when it comes to that, I have to kind of remind myself, because I guess with that, it's like I was always a technical person and then I kind of did the content creation thing, and I'm still have to be, and there's people who are a lot more technical than me, but I will still have that background on here when it comes to troubleshooting and all this fun stuff. But then when there's people who they might ask me about a computer issue, or they'll ask me about a console issue or a modification type thing that they're running into, like I'm just kind of explaining it to them and they're like, "Oh wait, I'm not sure, well what about this, what about this?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I have to switch gears a little bit." Like I'm not dumbing it down, but it's like, wait, and it's something I started getting much better on, like maybe like a couple years ago, but it was kind of a reminder. It's like, oh wait, just because you're kind of in the same space as me making videos doesn't mean that you know how to do this. Like there's countless people, and people I'd say I'm honored to call them friends, who they make much better videos than me, like really awesome visuals and all that stuff. But if they turn on their computer and it doesn't post, like they don't know what to do. They're very
Mhm.
much like, hey, I need to turn on the big black box. The light turns on. I log in. I open up Premiere. I open up Photoshop, and I can be a master of that. But like any of the other extra stuff, like if they're running into like a GPU issue, or if they're running into any other driver issue, or if they can't connect to their network, I'm assuming there's some technical know-how there, just because they could be a wizard at the applications that they use to create their craft. But I'm just like, wait, no, you okay, hold on, like this is, I have to reset myself. Okay, I can't just assume that you know these things.
Listen, I am of the like I am of the friend thing. Like I will never ever build my own computer.
Okay.
I will take store build. Like like I just I it's kind of like speaking a language. I can't do that either. Like I failed Japanese and Spanish like 8 times. Like all that, like I'll watch like Linus Tech Tips, and it's so fun watching other people do it because they know what they're talking about and so forth, and it's cool like
Mhm.
hearing that information. But like if you were to turn to me and hand me a bunch of components and say, here, I need you to build a computer, it would be in flames before I ever installed the BIOS. Like it's not going to happen. It's so bad.
I
Like
do need to ask, have you had, like, a bad experience with that before?
no, I'm just stupid. I would need a
You are not
Berenstain.
stupid, you
I
stop this.
like I would need like the Berenstain Bears equivalent of an instruction manual to like build a computer. Like I don't have computer building skills, but I'm really good, unfortunately, at work at finding out how to break things.
Okay.
Like we have to for privacy reasons. So we have
Mhm,
this new software that is being tailor made for me specifically for my job,
mhm.
and it's been like 30 hours of development, cool, blah blah blah, and it came time to finally test it and run through its first paces. I found the first flaw on the first step. To the point where the developer was silent on the Zoom call for 30 seconds.
That's
And
amazing.
I was just like, I'm sorry, it's my talent. I can't help it.
You know, I could argue and say that means it hasn't been tested thoroughly, or they didn't have maybe, like, the right person testing it. That's why end user testing is going to be important,
Yep. Or
like
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 or
real
like
world end user testing.
yeah, or like I shut down our company's website by accident because in going to build a page, there was apparently an option in the drop down menu that the site no longer supported. and
Mhm.
I accidentally chose it. And 3 seconds pass, and while I'm trying to figure out why the menu isn't there, my basically the number two person of the company runs out of his office right to me and goes, "What did you do?"
Oh my god. That's
Yeah,
amazing, though.
it was fine. Basically all that happened was is the home page disappeared. So like when you showed up, it was just a blank page, but the actual website was there. But it was just I will never. That was like 6 years ago. I will never forget. Just what did you do?
Mhm.
I killed the car. What do you think I did?
That's amazing. See, I gotta respect you for that, though. That's amazing.
Yeah. If you need me to build a computer, you're out of luck. If you need me to figure out what's wrong with it, just give me a keyboard in 5 minutes. We'll break that son of a gun.
Mm, exactly, that works out. Yeah. Yeah, no, there was, I mean, even, recently, like, right before this, I was, working on this here, but, it's one of those times where it's like, I didn't mind it because it's family, but also at the same time, they were very apologetic, but it's like, I was trying to relax this Saturday, enjoy my time and stuff, but it was kind of on and off for like 3 or 4 hours. They were asking me about questions with Plex and the Plex server. And then it got to a point like they called me and they were saying, "Hey, you don't need to work on this anymore." It was like, you know how it is. You have to work on it. So I was like, okay, just
Exactly.
hold on. I remoted into it and I found out it was like an additional, which a funny thing, it was like an additional thing I installed, which should help, but it wasn't starting up the services properly. So I
Oh.
pretty much just uninstalled that, changed my configuration a little bit, and then it was fine. But then it was also funny too because they were apologetic, but then they were also vindicated because everybody thought that it was this family member, and they're saying, "No, no, it's not me." And I'm like, I don't know, it could be you. It's like nobody else has had, like, it's working on my network. I don't know what to tell you.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the
It
guy
happens.
I'm the guy that my family calls for IT problems. I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah. It's like you
Unless you need a hard drive erased, I'm not the man for you.
That's amazing. Oh man. So not not tech issue related, thankfully, but you did talk about this a little bit before, and I know you had made a video on this. I still want to do something with this, but I never made a video on it on my end just because, this is how it happens. But uh the Doom demo, I wanted to actually talk to you voice to voice about this. We can kind of share our experiences. So what was going on with this, in your
Memories.
words, like liberating this Doom demo for anyone who does not know?
Okay, so should I just do the whole story like from
Sure, yeah.
okay. So for those that don't know the video game, there's a game called Monster Rancher on the original PlayStation where you could swap in music CDs, game CDs, as long as it was a CD, even a CDR. The game would read something on the disc and it would create a monster for you. Well, in the PlayStation's demo library, there is a interactive demo CD volume 1, and it has two versions. And basically, one version has 3 less demos than the other version. So by default, in my brain, that should register that there's less data, so it should generate a different monster. Well, when I was playing the game, the both discs generated the same monster, and I was like, "That's impossible! Like, there's no way." So, being me, I threw the discs into my laptop, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. They're all both the same size." And then staring at me in the face was a folder marked Doom. There was no Doom demo on either disc, and I freaked out and started trying to sort through this. And when I realized, I think it's when I saw the executable file, I was like, this has to be in there somewhere. I panicked, jumped online, and was like, all right. And it was by sheer will of the universe. I can't remember what episode of yours was on, but it was essentially like patching something out of a disk to make it work. And I was like, I'm talking
Hmm.
to him. I'm going to
Oh,
him.
I think there was a video I'd made, kind of a tutorial and kind of overview showing like introducing people to like the world of PS1 patches and how to apply them and all that.
I think that's what it was. And I was like,
Mhm.
hey, could you technically apply a patch that or is already on the disc? And then you were like, let me set up the bat signal. And before I knew it, there was just this team of bat signal. I said Avengers. Right now, there's comic book guys going,
Oh,
I'm
it's
going
all
to murder
good.
him. Yeah. The Justice League of like friends came in, and like as I talked about in the video about it, like every single person figured something out in like a Sesame Street episode. We all just combined our powers and essentially um going back to the two discs, there's a teen and a mature one. We basically turned the teen disc via the patch you guys made into the mature demo. So we brought back all the missing demos and got the fully fledged, fully not broken Doom demo playable, and
Mhm.
it's just phenomenal. Like I was so into it, I created Game Shark codes, and I can't hack codes for anything, and I was
That's
able to hack
awesome.
Game Shark codes for it.
And see, there you go. You can do Game Shark codes. Like I can't really do that. That's just not how my brain
I'm,
works. I
I'm
guess.
like I'm like 5 for 110 in my success rate of creating codes, but like
Okay, well
it's
that's
it's
good.
doable.
That's awesome. And I will say, I guess on my end. So yeah, because you had sent me an email, and at the time I was just like, this is not business, but I was like, not only this is cool, but like I was a fan of yours already. Like I watched your channel, loved your work and everything, and I was like, "Hey,
Yay!
look, I'm gonna make an exception here. Let's do this thing. Like this is interesting. I'm interested." So I think like that first night or two, I was trying to do what I could, and I could see the data in there because I'm not really strong with my reverse engineering efforts, like when it comes to software. But like I was looking at the executable through a hex editor and even just the ISO itself, and I was trying a few things in an emulator, and I'm like, I feel like I'm on the right path, but I'm just not getting it. Like I don't have this skill set here. So that's when I like pretty much put out the bat signal, and I was like, hey, can anyone help? I know there's people out there who are smarter than me. And there were a few people who reached out, but the two people who got some, at least on my end, who got some progress were retroversing. He was the first person who he was able to unlock the demo and make it
Yeah,
playable. So you could actually patch the game. I think he rebuilt the ISO, but really the point is you could play the demo disc. You could play the Doom demo, and it worked. The problem is that was it. That became
yeah,
the only thing that was playable. And then we handed off to X41, who is like, shout out to him as well too. He's a fucking wizard with this. Like I've known him for years, and he's brilliant. But he was looking at it, and he was like, hey, I actually got this unlocked and nothing else is broken on here, and I actually found full artwork and animation and music and everything, and I mean, if you give me a little bit of time, I think I can enable all of it, because he went into the executables and re-enabled it right there. I think he was like looking at through Ghidra or something. So he was the one who's able to then like restore all the M-rated demos on the T disc, and he was able to reintegrate the Doom demo, because for lack of a better term, it was just disabled. and he just went
Yeah.
into the executable, re-enabled it, was able to recompile that executable and rebuild the ISO.
Yeah, complete with menu icon and the I call it the gibberish on screen. For those who've never played the demo, there's what looks like matrix code above and below the menu system, and if you sit there
Mhm.
for a little bit, it's like secret messages will pop up, and he got all of that back in. It was freaking phenomenal.
Yes, and it's funny, I was actually going to say, even with that, because I don't know how old he is, but he's younger than me,
Oh,
and
don't tell me that. They're
he
wizards, Harry.
he
They're
he
young
I
wizards.
know, but this is where I kind of felt my age a little bit, because at one point he was like, yeah, because I think you mentioned the messages, but I think he also found them too. He's like, yeah, I'm seeing these messages and I'm seeing a few things, and some of them are readable in text, but other ones, and he said something like, this is before my time, but I think some of these are cheat codes, but I'm not sure. And I'm just like, God, like, these young people are so damn brilliant, but damn it, I'm
Yeah.
feeling a little old right now,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he just, in his lifetime, he didn't really experience cheat codes.
Yeah, I say when he said this is before my time in my life, you could just hear the soundtrack going, "Old Man Wizard." Let me stroke my white beard for a second before I start crying. Oh, but they did such an amazing job. Like
Mhm.
it was so cool. And then like what was neat was is I also had a friend working side by side too that was realizing some of
Yes.
the Game Shark stuff. Big shout. He wanted to remain anonymous, so he will. But like I even said this in the video. Like the coolest thing was coming home from work and opening social, and you and him were just like, "Holy stuff, we got stuff, we got stuff." It was like watching the cats of the cats, the lions of Voltron just slowly form into the perfect demo. It was so good. It was so good. And then like the funniest part of that whole situation is like once we had confirmed it was all good to go, we went to like go post it on an unnamed site. They're like, "Oh no, that's not our thing." And we're like, "God damn it."
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
still
and
sitting pretty on the Google Drive or the
yes. Yeah.
archive.org.
Yeah, and that's fine for it to be there.
Oh yeah.
I don't mind naming them, because it's all fine. I think it was it ROM hacking? I want to
Yeah.
say that was romhacking.net. Yeah, and the reason why they declined it, they just, and I didn't
It
know the
was a
rules
valid
there.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, they had said, we cannot we don't accept patches for demos. And I said, okay, fair enough. Like, I understand. So, but then I was like, okay, we need to find somewhere else to host this.
Yeah, I was like, screw it. I've got archive.org. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
I want to talk about things.
yeah, and that's fine for archive. Yeah, I could tell it was like very much an emotional experience, and some that you really valued, like
Oh,
going through
dude,
all
like that's like as far as GameRaveTV goes, that's like top 10 easily.
that.
Like that will
Really?
never. Yeah, dude, just like like to bring up Ghidra in trying to do Project Up One, which is me basically rebuilding the entire cheat archive of PlayStation 1. I wanted to try and get Ghidra working so I could see if I could see into the programming and pick up like programmer cheat lines or something like that. Like just to like even if it's just like you see like a whole string of like controller options or inputs that
Sure.
don't do anything. I
Mhm.
sort of installed Ghidra. I sort of installed the Java, whatever it needs, the JFI, whatever that is. And then there's this thing where you have to use a program called Eclipse to
Yes.
prepare a PlayStation thingy. And the PlayStation thingy is in Eclipse, but I don't know how to get the Eclipse into the Ghidra, so I don't know what I'm doing. And the instructions weren't written for like a preschooler, which is my level. And so it's kind of just sitting there like, I'll get to this eventually. I'll just go back to like, brute forcing my way through things.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Hey, if anybody in the comment section can help with like what you're talking about, like, any tips would be appreciated on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beyond my scope. Like with the Eclipse thing, it's just like, okay, load this into here. Now go to this menu, do this, do that, and then like the one step's like, now go here. I'm like, that's not in the menu.
That's not in
Like
the menu. Where is
what are
this?
you doing? Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. Like what's funny is I have a NetEuro Zay that I've always wanted to mess around with, and
Yes.
just reading the first 4 pages of how to get it started, I was like, this is not for me.
That was, man, that reminds me of when my brothers were younger. At one point, they were one of them was saying he wanted to get into development. He wanted to create an app that was like a game or something. And then I asked, I did pursue it. And I asked one of my friends, shout out to Pathogen David. I asked him like, hey, what would you recommend for a kid who's wanting to get into development? He recommended Game Maker. So I installed it on a family computer. And credit to my brother. He actually he tried to sit through it. He was trying to go through the tutorial, and he was reading through it. After maybe 20 or 30 minutes, he went up, he started ranting to my other brother, and he was pretty much saying like, it's dumb because you have to do this and then you barely get to do anything, and before you even get to make anything in your game, you have to do 20 pages of stupid long homework. And that was
Yep.
like, it was like the steps that were in there. And then it's funny because the older brother, he's like, okay, well, let me give this a try. He didn't even get as far as the younger brother. So he
Oh
comes
man.
upstairs, he's angry, and it's funny because they picked it up, like he's complaining, he's like, no, it didn't work, it didn't work. The younger brother's like, well, did you click add sprite, did you do this? And I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are picking up something.
Oh, dude, like I was like I even when I was super young, I was all in the video games, and two of my favorite programming memories of trying to program. One, I was in, was it third grade? No, fifth grade? Maybe fifth grade. Maybe fifth grade. And we had a computer room, and we're like, when I say computer room for the young kids, I mean computers that had one color besides
Okay.
black. Yeah, and
Okay.
they ran on basic, and a whole bunch of listeners just went, "Old man wizard," and I wanted, I loved Find Your Fate books. And I wanted to create a basic program that was a Find Your Fate book about a bunch of Konami arcade machines that got stolen from an arcade. And I think I got typed up the like intro paragraph to where you'd have to make your first like, will you enter the arcade? And then I went to look up how to do it, and I was like, I don't understand any of this.
Mm. Well, this was back when, like, in order to use a computer, you really needed you needed to code at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
right?
like there was no hard drive. It was just you, the keyboard, and that floppy disk you were saving to while you were typing.
Okay.
And then actually, nothing about that was in fifth grade. That probably would have been, God, third grade, maybe somewhere in there. And then fifth grade came around, and I was obviously big into whatever gaming system was that out at the time. And my teacher realized I was super into video games, and we had this little like magazine collection, and she came up to me one day and she goes, "Hey Jason, I know you're into video games, you might be interested in this." And she handed me a copy of 321 Contact magazine,
Okay.
and they had a section in the back that were programs you could type into a Commodore 64, which I was rocking at the time, to create simple games. And there was a game for a home run derby, and I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this." And I took the magazine and I got home. I got halfway through copying the code, and I was like, I gotta see what this looks like. Oh my God. And I typed run, and it was just a black screen with a blue frame and a single, we'll call it a pong bar, in the
Okay.
middle of the screen that if I pressed B, I could quote unquote swing because that was the bat. I had no other graphics, I had no ball. And instead of that, in that moment of me going, wow, I'm doing great, I'm programming a game, I did all that just for this, and I
Yep.
stopped writing it. Come to find out, like this is all true. So like, um, was it 3 months ago? 3 months ago, I had that memory of the 321 Contact magazine. I jumped on archive.org and I found the flippin' magazine.
Okay.
Jumped online, found a Commodore 64 emulator, and I was like, you know what? We're going to complete the cycle. We're going to finish that program. I flipped to the page in the magazine, archive.org. The amount of text that I had to type was essentially, if you took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and folded it in half, that's how much text I had to type. I
Okay.
couldn't make it through that far as a kid. So I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. I sat there, I typed everything, I hit run, and the program didn't work. And I'm like, why didn't it work? It's perfect. I triple checked everything. And I let go of the emulators. Like, emulator was like, yeah, we don't support running code in this emulator, just game loading.
Oh.
And I was just like, it's never meant to be. I'm never going to do it.
I think you can still see this to the end, though.
You know what? I actually have an SX64 that I got as a gift from an ex girlfriend years ago, and I'm like, one of these days, I'm just going to print that flipping page out, and I'm going to
Mhm.
sit there on the SX64, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to program it. It's going to be fine. I'm going to hit run, and you're just going to see smoke pop out of the SX64.
I don't think it will be that dangerous, but I really do think you should do that. It even brings up a good point too, where it's like it's so cool to revisit some of that stuff because it's like I've noticed for me at least, like not only there's times I can revisit something maybe even a year or two later, and like literally I feel like my brain is different and I can actually comprehend something properly. When it came to, for example, I know like a lot of the nitty gritty like hardware Xbox 360 related stuff I was doing, and even just with game systems in general, when I was younger, I simply couldn't wrap my head around a lot of what was expected. And now it's not only really with part of it is experience, but another part of it is like I feel like my brain developed enough to a point where it's like, oh, okay, I can understand. Like, for example, I couldn't understand this at 15, but I can understand this at 19. I have more of an understanding of it. And I even feel it in other things. Like, I've noticed I was surprised that there was some video games that I was going back to that I haven't played in at least 10 years, and I remember them being difficult for me. And then I was going through them now and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty easy. Like I've only died like once or twice and I definitely don't play nearly as much as I used to. So there's this weird thing of like, okay, I think I'm getting better when I think logically I would be getting worse.
It's like sometimes just a matter of perspective. Like I can't remember what game it is. There's an old Sega C game. What is it? I can't remember it now. That like when I first played it, I was done. Like I couldn't get it. And then after installing it to the Polymega, I was like, you know what? I'll go give it a shot. And sure enough, like an hour and a half later, I was like, how did I not get this? Like
Right.
like I think it's just from like playing other games. Your brain just goes, okay, we know what to expect now. Because you've done this before, but you just didn't realize it.
Exactly.
I think that's
Exactly.
part of the fun in game playing and even programming or like hardware modding is the stumbling. Like I don't learn the normal way. I have to base the easiest way for me to learn is the hard way.
Okay.
Like and like especially with like the code the code finding and researching, like just brute forcing and stumbling through everything is so much fun because it doesn't feel like you're failing anymore. It just feels like, okay, I picked the wrong path. Let's go down this one.
Sure.
There's like I love it. Like I think that's why I did it and why
Mhm.
I'm doing it. Plus it
That's
gives
fair.
plus it gives me an excuse to play 1,200 games.
That's true. Yeah. I will say I'm not trying to be too pessimistic, but like I'm sure there's also a lot of crap in there too that needs to be played, but still.
You know what I've discovered? Like I I've discovered sort of a self reflection with oh what maybe it was Hooters. Like there was some
Uh-huh.
game a while back where like there's
I think
all
that's
those
the first
games.
time Hooters has ever been brought up here on the channel, but go
And
on.
that's what I can contribute to the podcast.
Perfect.
Like there's always a set of games that will be crapped on just because that's the status quo, that's the cool thing to do. Like Hooters Road Trip is one of them on PlayStation. Another one might be Bubsy. There's just a specific tier. We'll call them the angry video game nerd tier of games that like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much you might find joy in it, it's always going to be like laughed at and picked on. And I think being older now is I got out of that like tribalism phase of where like I have to pick a side and like always defend it and always like put down the other side.
Of course.
A perfect example is like when I got to high school, for no reason, day one of my day one of my high school career, I suddenly hated the rival school in everything. I'd never been there. I didn't know anyone who went there, but I hated them with a passion. And then I graduated and was like, why did I hate them? Who cares?
That's your world at that point, and then your world grew when you graduated.
Yeah, and now part of the fun of reviewing all the games and so forth is like going back there with a fresh set of eyes. Like I re-reviewed The Crow because the first time I reviewed it, like I was like, oh, this game's terrible, and to a degree, it's a terrible game. But
Mhm.
going back with a fresh set of eyes, you're like, you know what? It's not that bad from say this perspective, but you can tell where they were rushed and like they just didn't have a chance to fully flesh it out. And
Yes.
and it's cool going back to that because you can at least then redeem the developers that worked on it. Like they might have known it was going to be a bad thing, but at least you can say, look, you know, I appreciate what you did. You had to get a paycheck no matter what.
Hmm.
So I like that a lot. Like nowadays, like the I for like a better phrase, the tribalism today, especially in social media, is so terrifying, especially in, I hate to use the phrase, the cancel culture, but
Hmm.
like my god, like people are getting angry over literally nothing,
Yep.
and it's like, guys, just pull back, have a beer, it's gonna be okay.
You well, you said a phrase that's I guess it's overused. You could say I can say one as well too, and it's like some of those people should touch grass. I guess you could say like that's a proper use of it, right?
Yeah, like go outside, play in the grass, stare at the clouds, find shapes in them, wait for the rainbow. It does happen.
Hmm.
Like, go get yourself something from McDonald's, have some nuggies. We all love the nuggies.
Dude, McDonald's is not that good, okay? Like
It
no, I had McDonald's at one point. Like this is I told a story. It was like a few years ago. I was like, I'm gonna like try some of my because I'd been good off fast food for a while. I was like, I'm gonna go to some of these places. Like I went to Dairy Queen, I went to McDonald's, and I'm like, this does not taste good. Like now, I will tell you, McDonald's does hit a little bit differently. When the last time I had it, um my girlfriend and we were out to a bunch of arcades and stuff. We were with some of her family, and then we dropped them off, and we were driving back. And when it's like 2 a.m. and you're hungry and you got like an hour drive ahead of you, McDonald's does hit differently. Then that's a
yeah,
very good
it's
time to get McDonald's.
yeah, it's the 2 a.m. nourishment. Like you sometimes you don't need the 5-star steak. Sometimes you just want whatever counts as chicken at this point, at this current
Exactly.
state.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, like Mrs. Game Rave just calls it. You want to be? She looks like you want to be dirty. And I'm like, Taco Bell, yeah. And there's some tacos to go. It's
Yeah,
all good.
dude, I will say I do unironically enjoy the Taco Bell breakfast. I like their offerings. It
You know,
sounds terrifying, but it's like I actually like their breakfast.
I have not tried them yet because I cannot bring myself to stop by a Taco Bell on the way to work to grab a breakfast burrito because in my brain I'm like,
There's
I'm
not
like,
just the breakfast burrito. I like the crunch wrap.
oh, that's true. There's a crunch wrap.
Yes.
But it's just like how belly do I want to gas my coworkers? Let's think about
Mm,
this for a second.
okay, that's fair. Yeah. That's why I don't really mind working from home all that too much. I'm like, oh, my bathroom is like right there.
Exactly, and it's a personal bathroom, which makes it even better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You can scream all you need to.
How much McDonald's did you have?
No, it's not just McDonald's, but it's like, just any time. Well, look, when things are not going right with your stomach, when there's like pain, you need a way to exfiltrate and just really just feel what's going on. And sometimes you're going to be a little vocal. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, been there, done that. Oh my god.
Yes. Exactly. Not at all related to food, but there was one last thing I did want to ask you about the Doom thing, and it's funny. I never asked you about this, and I've been wanting to.
Mm.
At one point with the Doom demo, I did because we were talking about after we got it all sorted, the technical side. You were really interested, like how did this happen? Why did this happen? Why was this on the demo? Why did it get canceled? And I quite literally told you, email John Carmack. I just need to know, did you think I was messing with you on that?
No.
Okay.
To be honest, I was like, see, like, it may not. I don't know if it comes across in my videos, but like, I'm a very anxiety driven shy person,
Okay.
and in the middle of like doing like all this crazy stuff like with just demo disc, you were like, why don't you talk to the creator of the game who's a personality and something? And all I heard was, you should try talking to God. And I was like, oh, okay. So for those of you that haven't watched the video, I actually worked up the nerve and I explained the entire thing. I contacted John Carmack on Twitter, and after politely explained the situation and laying my heart and soul on the line for the answers, his only reply was something of like, I don't know.
And
And
that's
that was
fair.
it. Yeah, that's fair. And I was like,
Yeah.
cool. And I walked away from it.
And here's the thing. It sounds like kind of a funny thing of, okay, why would you just email the creator? Because I'm happy it didn't seem like this. I thought of it because I sincerely did mean it, and I was like, I hope you're not taking it as like me trying to get you off your back, like off my back or something.
Oh
But
no, no, no. Yeah, you were
okay.
just giving me like what was funny was like what's funny is at the time all I could contribute was like researching the Game Shark codes once we had the in, and I felt so useless that I was like, okay, like when you said that, I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. I'll start trying to contact him. I'll start doing
Mhm.
research on the things. And I actually was gonna try and track down the actual PlayStation programmer, and I
Mm.
don't remember what happened, but somewhere in the breadcrail trum, it became apparent that he was really not on social media.
A
And I was
lot
like,
of programmers and it's just like, well, people from like back in the day who worked on those games are like that.
yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pester anyone then, and I'll just let him be. So like we once we had gotten the whole complete package, so I'm like, you know what? It's all good. There, um, I was talking to a friend in the industry, and he came up with, I think the idea that I shared on the video, which was it might have been that for some reason it didn't meet the US Sony standards, because that same demo is available in the PAL region as a standalone demo and then on one of their other multi demo discs.
And I think isn't the demo in PAL doesn't that it doesn't start from the first level. It starts from like a much later level.
Oh yeah, well they're both even our demo. I think it's level 22 or 23.
Okay.
I have it in the trivia on the page. But yeah, not
Gotcha.
it's all the same. It's all the only difference is the between the two PAL ones. One of them had the credits and one didn't.
There we go.
That was about the difference. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I kind of want to explain myself even on the John Carmack email there. The way I even got that idea was there was one episode of Joe Rogan he was on, and I listened to it, and he had said there that he responds to emails and such. And Joe was like, "Oh, wait, you still do that?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I even to this day, like it's part of my day. I respond to every email that I get." So it was something I knew that he did. And I was like, the worst case that's going to happen is you're not going to get a response. But like, I legitimately did mean it when I was like, email John Carmack because he will probably get back to you. And his just short reply of, I don't know. Well, he had tons of emails to get through. And
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
okay, like he didn't know and he answered honestly. That's fine.
That was enough for me. I was all good.
Yeah. But yeah, I always wanted to I always wanted to ask that. I didn't know if you thought I was like kind of like half joking or anything there, but no, I sincerely meant it. I'm like, no, from what I know, John Carmack replies to all of his emails and messages. You should email him.
Oh yeah, no. Like let's put it this way: when it comes to, if there's one thing I absolutely adore and will never tire of, is solving a mystery.
Okay.
Like if you're sitting there doing something, you go, oh, I can't figure this out. I will just start, like, even if I know absolutely squat about the subject matter, I'll sit there going, well, let's try this, let's try that, let's do that, let's do that. And you saying that was just me going, well, it might solve the puzzle, let's go.
That's fair. Well, thank you for answering that. I always wondered that, even though it's been like, geez, like 2 years since we worked on that. But yeah, I
God,
always
has it
wondered.
been that long already?
Dude, I know time doesn't matter
Are you
anymore. Time
kidding
isn't.
me?
I'm not. No, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding.
That was before COVID. That was before the dark
No, that
times.
was during COVID.
Was it? Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was during COVID,
Oh
but
my
I had to
god.
double check it. I was like, "Wow, that was 2 years ago."
Oh my god.
I
COVID
know.
math.
Yeah, time is meaningless at this point.
You have no idea.
Oh boy. It's fine though. Yeah. I know I've just been interested in this. I know you've mentioned like one or two names on this, but you've worked at least one game store, right?
For as far as like where I've been in the gaming industry, I have
Yeah.
worked for in order. I worked for a mom and pop store originally that was part of the Microplay franchise that was originated in Canada. But then they broke free from them and became High Score. They ended up closing up shop, and I had left them to actually go work for Game Shark, which is Interact Accessories in Maryland,
Oh
which
my
was
god,
fun.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the funny story behind that is it was just the way my life works. So at the time when I was still in Illinois, I was doing my own fanzine, and I was doing my own fanzine because a fanzine I had been working on, who had been trying to be a real magazine, basically didn't tell anyone they were canceling all the subscriptions and going to a website only format. And
Okay.
I felt super bad because I was technically the front man working at the family store. And I was like, okay, I can't do this. So I basically created my own fanzine. And over in Maryland, in Game Shark Land, there was a guy who was running his own Game Shark site as a fan site, doing codes that for whatever reason Game Shark just couldn't do because they couldn't properly, test or whatever. So he contacted me for a subscription to my fanzine, and we started talking like, wait a minute, you run this website, can I use your Game Shark codes in the thing? He's like, oh yeah, sure, blah blah. My fanzine through him ended up in the hands of one of the editors, and they were like, yeah, you're doing some crazy stuff, we could totally use you here doing a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like,
Hmm.
cool, got the job. And up there, side tangent, I found out a month and a half after being hired that the person that hired me essentially hired me to be his mole in the team, to like
Okay.
find out like what everyone was doing. And I was like, no.
Okay.
So I told my boss, I was like, yeah, I basically just found this out. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to actually be here for what I'm supposed to be doing. And he put me in a corner desk with just some stuff. And I was like, okay, let me prove to them that this is why I'm here. And I opened up the desk drawer, and there was a whole bunch of Game Boy Color games. And I was like, here we go. And I basically plowed through a bunch of Game Boy games, wrote up the reviews and stuff like that, and gave it to him. And he was like, you're number one now. Like, you're going to be our go-to guy for this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then side tangent of little ego trip. I was there when the PlayStation 2 launched, and when everyone could only get one console. I was the guy that got the only PS2 we get our hands on because they knew I could do all the reviews and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then they ended up folding. Um, I ended up taking a job as an assistant manager at EB Games out in Maryland, and eventually found my way home and ended up finishing my graphic design livelihood at school while still being at EB Games, and eventually GameStop. And then from GameStop, just all the years of doing things, I was like, you know what? Like, once I got out of here, I don't want to be out of gaming forever. I don't want to be a complete filthy casual. And
Hmm.
that's when I realized, you know what? I found my calling in Game Rave, and I will be the unelected voice of the PlayStation 1 for people that need information.
That's awesome. And see, okay, that also makes sense as well too, because you come from very much kind of, I feel kind of like that journalism background in a way, in terms of like reviews and stuff, but also it's just that would explain why there's like some industry stuff like how to navigate and look for and everything because of that Game Shark background. Am
Oh
I wrong
yeah.
on that?
No, in fact, it really is a blessing in disguise. Like, I joke about how like yeah, I did retail management for 20 years. It was chaos. And then I realized like I'll describe things and I'll answer things on a social post, and people are like, well, how the hell do you know that? I'm like, and I realize I'm like, I was there. Like
Yep.
almost everything, like if you count me starting work at high score slash microplay, that was 97, give or take. So
Okay.
literally 2 years into the PlayStation, from that point on, any retail release, marketing pop stands, like, training for kiosks and stuff, I would have been hands on. And at the time, across the street literally was a mall of like three more game stores. I was friends with everyone there. So like after my job at the game store, I could go to the other three game stores, hang out and chill, and see their retail
Dude,
marketing and their
I
pre-order
I did
purchases.
the same thing.
Yeah. And like, you don't realize how much of that you retain in that filing cabinet in the back of your head until 25 years later someone's like, yeah, I found this puppet from Lunar, I don't know what it is, and you're like, I know exactly what that is.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's just it I am so thankful, especially from a hobby standpoint and my game rave standpoint, of like that the life I had, I would never have given up because I wouldn't know what I know now. And it's
Yeah.
just incredible.
Dude, that's beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't been as into it there. My only like official tenure really is like I worked at a mom and pop video game store from like 2009 to 2011, so just over 2 years. and it was a really fun time to work in the
Yeah.
industry, I guess you can say. We didn't really have any new stuff, so like the promotional stuff, the kiosks and everything you're talking about, like I didn't have any access to that. It was really just the secondhand market, and also console repairs. I didn't do any of the repairs, funny enough. I wasn't doing any of that. We had other repair people there, but I kind of, I was aware, I was looking at it, I kind of, retain some knowledge. I saw where to go and what to do on that. But I was a technical person back then, even as well, and I did help out with a lot of tech issues, that just general weird tech issues and stuff that were going on. Um, but yeah, I remember at that time it was just having the general game knowledge about certain things, and maybe not as much like promotional materials, but just like different version of games or what have you. That definitely did help me out there, and um, I was able to make some good recommendations on that I was happy with. I'm thinking even like one of them was there was one person I remember, he had a PS2, and he was saying he was looking for a game to get into, or a series, because he was trying to quit smoking, so he wanted to replace that with like video games if he could. So I explained, like, we were kind of perusing the shelves, I explained Hitman to him, and he seemed to like it, and I ended up selling him one of the other ones. He got addicted to that series, so he came back and he bought every single other Hitman as he was completing them.
Nice.
Yeah, and he got off smoking, thankfully.
Yay! That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was
that
more experiences like that.
that's because he now has a smoking gun.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the real Agent 47. Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's awesome. Like, I guess through all of your times there, like working at the game shops, what would have been your favorite time or favorite era?
God, I like, geez, God, I, good God, like I lived through the births and deaths of so many game systems, but while being
You
behind a
did,
retail
yeah.
counter, like it's crazy. I think, let me think. I think, oh man, I don't think I have a specific, like, this is my favorite moment ever, but one of the great moments as far as building a community, being person to person and not like just social online, was when I was working at the one strip mall, EB Games. It was Halo 2. God, I've been in the industry way too, well, was in the industry way too long. Was, I think it was Halo 2 or Halo Three's launch night.
Okay.
And the way the strip store was situated, we were able to access a walkway, I guess a sidewalk, so we could rope people off, but have it to where they could all still see like the front of the store. So like if we were discussing or like, just having fun with posters and so forth, everyone had a clear view. And I had an idea to get the crowd laughing. Now, what this entails referencing is actually back in the news recently, so this will be cool for like making it timely.
Yeah.
um I was able to take a bunch of the inserts for the Halo 3 and make my own Halo 3 cases, and in the Halo 3 case I put a specific item, and that specific item was a potential prize. Now, when it came time to start entertaining the crowd, one of the things we did is I had a contest, and I don't remember the specifics, but it was basically you either had tell a story of like your best Halo kill, and if the crowd liked it, you got your choice of a poster or what was inside the case,
Okay.
like make a deal style. And the first guy, thinking it was the actual game, was like, "Yeah, I'll take the case." And I go show it to the crowd, open it up, and he opens it up, and a Lipton tea bag fell out, and I was like, "You just got teabagged," and the crowd went nuts,
That's amazing.
and it was fantastic. Unfortunately, no one picked the case after that,
Oh,
but it was the look of awe on his face, and the crowd roaring was just absolutely fantastic. And then on the opposite of that, as far as like teamwork goes, at the same store, we were doing the midnight release for whatever the blue expansion pack was for World of Warcraft, whatever the blue
uh,
one was.
I,
Um,
I
30. I think it was the witch. Is it the one with
Wrath of the Witch. I've actually one thing I'm proud of. I've never played World of Warcraft, so I'm
neither have
kind of
I.
out of my.
Like, yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
congratulations!
hey, yeah. MMO is not me. But whatever. 15 minutes before we were open for business to start handing out the game, all of the credit card machines went down.
Oh
We
no,
had so literally we were like, okay, A team time. What do we do? And what happened is I I was the entertainer guy. I was the spokesman outside, so I had to go like face a crowd of like 400 people and like, hey, if you hadn't already put your thing through, it's gonna take a few minutes because this was before like actual like cell phone apps and so forth. So like we had to like sit there on their like mobile flip phones typing in all the confirmations, calling like the credit card companies.
yeah,
So what we did was I ran outside. I was like, guys, look, here's the situation, blah blah blah. Uh, blah blah. And as soon as I said, if you've prepaid, come to me, a couple of the people in the front who were clearly like den like the den leaders of their online clans, if that's what you want to call them, turned around, all went, everybody, front and hold lines, here, here, and here. And 400 people snapped in line like I had just hit sort in Excel. And we got, even with no credit card machines, we did 400 people, I think, in an hour
that's
tops.
amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was just, oh my God. And I was literally out there with a two-wheeler, like, open season Target of nothing but collector's editions and stacks of their own game, literally in the middle of a parking lot, like with no bodyguard, and people just in line showing me the receipt, showing me the receipt, showing me the receipt,
That's
getting them out
awesome.
of there. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's cool because yeah, I've only gone to one or two midnight launches, but I do remember it was like that where they have you pay like well in advance. Pretty much when you get there, they're like, hey, if you want to hang out in the store, you gotta pay everything off in full, and then they kind of just get you into a line. And I remember they couldn't sell us the game until probably 12:01,
Yeah,
and
it's U1201, yeah.
yeah, at 12:01, and it was a big line, and by 12:03, everyone was gone.
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's
think
why they
by
do the prepay.
yeah, and then I thought people might hang out or something because it's like by 12:03 people were done, and by 12:05 almost everyone was gone. People just like they ran back out to their cars and just drove off. They didn't want to
Yep.
hang out. They just wanted like to play their new games, which that was the launch for both. It was the same night, Max Payne 3 and Diablo 3. I remember that
Nice.
one. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's especially if you're on the PC, like you want to run home and like, wait the half hour to install it and then finally play
And
it.
well, finally played. The thing didn't even work because of Air 37. So I knew
Oh.
that something like that was going to happen. So that's why I didn't even play it the first week. Like I bought it and I opened it and I think I just installed like off the disc. But I was interested in Max Payne.
I said what you said, that error code. My first thought was order 66, and like a whole bunch of programmers just went, no, 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 don't say that number. You'll activate all the fanboys.
Oh man. That's great though. That's and see that's cool that you got to be in a bunch of different shops like that as well too. Like I
Yeah.
said, I only had that one where it's like the game shop I worked at. I feel like I learned a lot. It was great, but I tell people it was like one of the best and like also probably like the worst job I had because also it's a retail job, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like we have to make it fun. Like what's funny is when oh, there it is. I just got the Zencaster email like 2 hours later. Um,
Oh, no worries.
yeah. Um, like the thing I miss about retail is that like the good and the bad is you're basically cornered. Like you are someone's psychiatrist, someone's therapist, someone's helpline, someone's like butler, like as far as like buying games and helping
Hmm.
choose on and so forth. And in all those years of working in retail, I developed this, I call it my patience shield, that was like impenetrable. Like nothing could get to me except maybe like extreme conditions. And then like once I had my cry behind the counter, I was good.
Hmm.
Having now been 6 years out of retail, that patience shield is gone.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what this? No, are you really? We're gonna do that? Really? Like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. I get that. I totally get that.
Oh man, that's. But I think it should be mandatory that every person has to work a retail job
Yes.
for at least 3 years, and then you can be free.
3 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Okay. I
because.
haven't heard it that long.
Yeah, well, yeah, just because if from a 3 year perspective, the first the first 6 months of your first year, you are virgin. Like you are going to be abused, tossed, and you're going to figure out how thick your skin really is to handle this stuff.
Hmm.
By the back half of the first year, you've got your footing. The second year is when you realize all the ins and outs of how to like legally, and I don't mean this like from a law standpoint, but legally abuse the system you work in. Like for GameStop, hey, I might not be able to return this, but I can exchange it for this to make you happy and keep the store happy, and we're good to go.
Hmm.
That third year is when, with that knowledge of everything you learned, you can figure out what I forgot the word I'm looking for. What skills you have tamed that can now be transferred to something that isn't, even if it's not related, you can transfer it over, and then from there you're free to go wherever you want. Like I think I think today's humanity needs that like, and I hate to say it like this, but they need that like, I can't think of a better, like that indentured servitude application to realize just how good you have it once you get out of retail.
Also, the thing with that happens is afterwards, like for me at least, like I've never given people a hard time. Like I can think of like maybe one or two times I've like given someone on the customer service end a hard time, because like I've had customer facing jobs, customer service jobs, what is it, like retail jobs as well. But like I'm one of those people, I will try and help you out. I am very patient and help you. I'm saying as in like when I'm dealing with someone at a game store or at any type of retail job, and I've told them like, yeah, I've worked this job before. I get it. I'm trying to be a good customer here. All right. So,
Oh yeah, dude.
yeah.
Like I've noticed lately, like side tangent. I was the guy at GameStop who, like, people that bought things at Best Buy and like Toys R Us across the street would still come to me with their questions just because they know I would answer them, not make them feel stupid like we're
Hmm.
condescending.
Yeah.
On the flip side, like I am shocked. I was shocked working how many customers would come to me terrified that I was going to snap at them. And now, 6 years removed, being the customer, I'm shocked at how many employees are shocked that I'm not being a quote unquote Karen to them.
Yeah.
Like I've had so many people like in a Starbucks just look at me like, go, you didn't yell at me. I'm like, no, why would I yell at you? You just like, I just need something else on my drink. And to share a story with about Mrs. Game Rave, we both have a wicked sense of humor.
Hmm.
And to frame the mentality of today's poor worker and how much help they really need, we were at a Starbucks, and whatever drink I ordered, he turned to me and said, hey, just so you know, is it okay, we don't have whatever they sprinkle on top? So essentially they don't have half a dime's worth of an ingredient that I probably wouldn't notice anyway, because it ends up at the bottom of the cup.
Hmm.
And before I could say, yeah, that's fine, Mrs. Game Rave, in the best fake voice I've ever heard, just goes, "Oh, I'm gonna put such a bad Yelp review." And she pulls out her phone and starts doing like that mimicking hand gesture.
Hmm.
This guy's face turns so white, and both of us were
Because
like,
that's a reality for him.
"Yeah," and we're both went, "No, no, we're joking. We're kidding. It's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay." He goes, "Oh, thank you so much."
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
"What? Like, what are you guys dealing with? Like, oh my god."
They're a joke to you is the reality for them.
Oh, dude, like I made the comment one time, like a friend of a friend that still worked at GameStop at the time after I had left. He goes, "Hey man, I know you're out. I know you got loving your job. You were phenomenal. Would you ever come back as holiday part time for like just 3 hours a week?" And I was like, "No,
Hmm.
I have seen the people I walk among now. I can't do it anymore. I'm good."
You know, that was me as well too. I remember because I quit my job, because like my store job, because of I went to college and it was just in another city and stuff. But I was still in contact and still friends with people there. And my boss said at the time, was like, "Hey man, you know, if you ever want to work, because you always did good work. If you ever want to work, you ever want a few hours, just let me know. And whatever you're making at your college, I'll match it," because I had a job there. And I
Nice.
was like, "Yo, that's a sweet deal." But then when it came down to it, I was like, huh. I don't wanna do that, actually. Like, I would during my breaks and stuff, like, I would be there, I would hang out, I would talk to people, I would get my discount, all that stuff. I didn't work, but, like, when I left, when I stopped working there, I never worked another hour there. Even though I had the door always open for me, they always would've let me there, like, they enjoyed my company, plus, again, they would've matched my rate, which was good, but I was just like, "No. No, I'm not doing that," and it's no offense to you all, it's just, I don't wanna do this.
Yeah, and what's funny is like every so often I'll unintentionally slip back into GameStop mode. Um, a story the missus likes to always retell to her friends is we were at Best Buy one time, and I was just playing around with one of the iPads, and an older couple to my left was talking to the Best Buy employee, and they were asking about something, and he was like, "Well, no, unfortunately, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yada yada." And without realizing I had slipped into GameStop mode, I turned and said, "Well, actually, you can. You can just use this program. This program. You can run anything you want. It's all good." And they're like, "Oh, that's really cool. You know what? We will take this back." And they they went off to go get like an accessory or something. And the Best Buy guy just looked at me like I had killed his mom. I was like, "Dude, I just got you a sale. What are you talking about?"
Dude, I've had that happen where I've accidentally done that, but usually it's, like, appreciated. I think there was, and usually it's more of, like, a word of warning. I'm thinking, like, I think I've told this story on this podcast before, but there was once where I was at a Costco and, there was a couple I was seeing, an older couple, they were buying this big HP laser jet, and I kept looking, and I was like, no, no, I can't do this. And I just walked over to them. I was like, excuse me. And I had to say that a few times. And then when they saw like me, random person, I was trying to flag them down. They're like, okay, what does this guy want? And I just asked them, I was like, are you looking to buy that? Like, what are you looking to do? And I, it's funny because I was so against this printer. I was even telling them, like, look, I'll show you, like, I'm not affiliated with HP. I'm not affiliated with any other printer company, but like, I can't let you all walk out with that. And I asked them how much they're paying for it. They told me, my jaw dropped. And I was like, no, I'm telling you this. Look, I'm sorry. I know y'all probably want to get a printer right now. I'm just telling you, like, I work in the tech industry and stuff. I bought this printer. I spent more time fighting with it than I did printing stuff. I returned it. I got this other one that was better for the same price. Like, in my opinion, you all should put this one back and just order one of these online. I know that's probably discouraging. You want to get something today, but I'm telling you, that is not a good printer.
Now here's a question for you. We're both veterans of the retail world. Do you still find yourself when you're shopping, with the exception of a grocery store, well, even a grocery store to a point,
Okay.
do you still find yourself alphabetizing things, straightening things, fixing things?
I don't do that as much, but I do it a little bit. I do it a little bit. I'm more careful of like, hey, if I get something, I'm gonna put it back where it was, and I might like straighten things up a little bit and clean them up. But so yes, you could say I'm partially guilty for it because I want to respect the game store that I'm going to. You know?
Yep. I
Yeah.
say every time I start doing it, I'll just hear the missus behind me just go, "You're doing it." Oh, but it looks better now.
Exactly. Yeah. I think one of the more funny things I had recently was there's one game shop I've been going to, and there was a woman who worked there. I was trading in some stuff, and she was like, "Hey, so typically we don't pay that much for this stuff. We might give you like a dollar or two here." I was like, "That's fine," and then she was like, "Well, I mean, do you know the prices? Like, I know you used to work at a game store," and I'm like, okay, I know I can take advantage here, but I don't want to be that person. And also, hold on. You're not supposed to be asking me that. Like, I'm not supposed to be telling you the prices. But I just told her, I was like, don't worry. Like, I know what I have. And then it wasn't even anything secret. It was like just a bunch of like Atari 2600 games and stuff that like I have no interest in or anything. And I got more than I expected from there because she was like, I'll give you like a dollar for each of these. And there's some I can give you a little more. And I was like, are you kidding me? I thought you were going to give me like a quarter for each of these. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So that's maybe the closest funny thing that's happened there.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I did I did kind of want to start wrapping this up here, but there is one thing I do ask all my guests, and even if I don't have a guest, I do talk about it. But
Okay.
what games have you currently been playing here recently?
Depends. If we're talking current gen, the last thing I did was start the Game Plus mode of Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay.
And then I started getting back into Mass Effect Remastered
All right.
on the actual like hobby YouTube side, I just finished Kingsley's Adventure on PlayStation. Um,
Haven't heard of that one actually. King's
it's
Adventure.
Kingsley's Adventure. It's a cute little. It's just like a little. Imagine if the Ocarina of Time, if Link were a fox and there were no RPG elements.
But there was a Fox game on there.
Yes, yes, there
What?
was. Yes,
What? Kingsley Adventure? You said?
yes. In fact, my newest episode, I go into a deep dive where you find out that Kingsley actually started off as a rabbit, and to basically ruin the episode, there is a dungeon in the game where you come across a jail cell, a prison, and each of the characters in their respective jail cells are all unused or cut characters, so they're literally
Wow.
permanently imprisoned. And then you find this unnamed rabbit. He's the only character in the game who doesn't have a name. He's just called the prisoner. It's actually Kingsley's original character design as a
That's
rabbit.
That's chilling and awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm just, dude, here's the thing. I love foxes. Like, I love the PS1. I don't know how the hell I've never even seen this game. And it's by Psygnosis. It was Scott Butler was one of the artists on here. Like, what you're blowing my mind. Like,
Yeah, it's
I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, as far as the game goes, it's a little bit rough in the platforming because for some reason, he loses his momentum if you just like absolutely tap the D-pad and you drop straight down. But if you can get over that, it's actually a really, really adorable game. Like uh, the challenges aside, I really liked it. It's a really good game.
All right, awesome. And you said it's kind of like Ocarina?
So basically, it's imagine if you took Ocarina and stripped out all the RPG stuff. So like you start the game as him, and he's trying to become a squire and a knight, and you go into the towns are like 4 buildings, and all you really need the town for is to figure out what uh, what secondary boss door is and why you can't get to it, and then the main boss of that area. So the reason I call it the Ocarina of Time is because like Ocarina of Time, which the running joke is it's just a living room with 8 bathrooms as far as the dungeon goes. In
Okay.
in Kingsley's, it's a castle with 8 bathrooms because all like you basically get to the other lands by jumping into foxholes that are all attached to the castle. So you're not
Hmm.
really adventuring; you're just going into like separate quote unquote room levels. But what makes it neat is as you defeat each boss, you then get like a better sword or gloves, and because you now have that, you can now go to the sub boss door and like leap across a platform or use a winch because you have the magical gloves and so forth. So
Hmm.
there's no like actual like um what would you call it, like in Zelda, like in a Zelda game you might have like a true, I hate to use the term, but like gatekeeping to where like oh you can go back to this area of the game like 5 hours later once you have something, and with this it's just really straightforward. You just like, okay, now that you have this, you can do this. Now you do this, go to the next foxhole. Okay, now you did this foxhole, now go to the next foxhole, and then once you get done, you then go back to all the sub bosses and you finish up the game.
Oh my god! Like dude, I want to play this game now.
Dude,
Like
dude,
I didn't know about
yeah,
this.
dude, they all speak in like that Simlish, so it's like
That sounds so
and
cute.
and Kingsley is a sassy little bastard. Like like the writing is so funny. You beat one of the bosses and he was just like, all I wanted to do was like set up my own castle and you've slain me, and he's like, well, tough. Oh, but what you hear is
That's great. I'm so curious why I've never heard about this game. I've never heard of it until now.
yeah, it wasn't a really big release, and if I'm remembering the time frame, that's when Psygnosis was starting to not really break away from Sony, but do a lot of
Mm,
their own publishing. And at the time, even Midway was taking care of Psygnosis's publishings with like the Demolition Derby Raw and so forth. So it might have just been, as much as I hate the term, a hidden gem just based on the fact that like it was quietly released and there was something else to
I
take your mind off of it.
I would say that's a fair thing to call a hidden gem because like I've never heard of this game.
Man, check it
Okay.
out. It's fun.
Yeah, I have something to check out now. Awesome. I appreciate that, man.
I have proved my worth.
Perfect. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. But right on. So those are the games you've been keeping you busy then.
Pretty much, yeah. And then like every so often, like with the the cheat code verification and so forth, I'll start diving into random games. Like right now, I'm stumbling, not playing through the game, but figuring out all the issues with Nightmare Creatures 1 and 2's programmer's cheats. And
Hmm.
then I also, what other game did I just finish? There was I haven't done the review yet. That's why. Blazing Dragons on the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, phenomenal point and click adventure in the same vein as like Full Throttle, that was written by one of the Monty Python guys.
Ooh, gotcha. And I'm actually looking this up as well too. I've seen this cover before. All
Yeah,
right.
it's really good. The guy on the cover is voiced by Cheech Marin. I think it's really good.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Huh. This looks. I like the art style and everything on this too. This is awesome. Real cool. See, man, yeah, I think you know better than anyone, but this is why I love the PS1. Like
Exactly.
I love stuff like this. This is awesome.
Yep. I think that's why I'm so happy that almost all the games are on site. Like I just want a website where people can go swimming,
Hmm.
and just the deep end, the shallow end, wherever you want to go, I will be there for you to help you, guide you on your path.
Perfect. And also this is cool. It looks like it came out on Halloween of '96. That's a very good time to release a game.
Nice.
Yeah. At least in North America, EU across the pond, y'all got it in November.
Yep.
So not as cool. But yeah, very cool. Yeah, on my end, let's see. I've been sharing this for a while, but dude, I'm still playing Ring Fit. Like my thing is I like Ring Fit Adventure. I play it like Monday through Friday. That is I don't have a gym membership, so I do Ring Fit. I'm a good amount way through my third playthrough of it right now.
Let me ask you this. I unfortunately I can't play it because I'm on the second floor of a condo. So
You can still
Dun, dun,
play,
dun,
just
dun, dun.
the people underneath will hate you, but still.
Exactly. Yeah. Is it actually helping you stay in shape? Because
Yes.
I was a huge fan of We Fit and We Fit You. Like I
Okay.
adore the yoga programs in them.
Okay.
Is Ring Fit actually like giving you the run for your money as far as like the actual fitness goes?
Yes, yeah, dude. Like I said, so because I bought it in 2019, and then when all the COVID stuff went down, then I had an excuse to actually use it, and my gym membership was paused at that time. But then I was playing it so frequently, and it was doing such a good job that I canceled my gym membership. So I haven't had a gym membership in over 2 years, and
Really?
yeah. I will tell you. I mean, I'm not just playing this, but I have a dog. I walk
Oh, yeah.
her, so I'm also like watching what I eat and stuff. Some days are better than other days. Today was a bad day, but still, today was also a good day. But no, like it's keeping my weight in check and everything. It's a workout. Like if you play the game and it does not kick your butt, it's because you're not playing at a high enough difficulty. Like it's just like it is serious. When you play the game, it's very well made. You can tell the actual effort and research and everything was put into it. The ring con, when you're messing with it, when you're squeezing it, like there's a ton of tension. It's like I've had friends where they kind of press it a bit and they don't want to break it. I'm like, no, really squeezed in. They're like, oh my god, that's tough to do. Like that's hard. So I've had there's been like friends who have tried it as well too, like actually tried the game and they get like a few minutes and they're like, dude, I can't do this. It's kicking my butt.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So I would, if you have, I've been telling everyone, like, if you have a Switch, get Ring Fit if you're interested in it. And honestly, if you actually use it, I've gotten more than $80 of usage out of it. Even at when lockdown happened, like with COVID back like March 2020 in South Korea, the Switch was selling out like hotcakes, and not only because like Animal Crossing had come out, but Ring Fit had sold out because a lot of people in South Korea were buying the Switch to play Ring Fit because gyms had closed.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so I can't speak highly enough of it. Like I highly recommend it.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, there's been that. I did dangerous thing. I did pick up Grand Theft Auto 3 again, so I played through it on I played the PS4 version on PS5 and still enjoyed it. Baba Is You, I picked that up on Switch and I've been playing that a bit. That is, I'm not the best at puzzle games, so it's a bit of a struggle, but it's been
Mm.
fun. But the game that's been currently taking the internet by storm, which is well deserved, I picked up not Prey, Stray. Excuse me, Stray.
Dude,
Picked that up.
I want to play that, but like that's gonna be like way back on my burner right
Oh
now.
my god. Well, it's a short game at least, but it's super cute, and it's one of those things where there's many times I'm kind of guilty of not really playing all too many games, and I'll get like super hyper focused in them. Like the example I use is kind of, for a bit I wasn't really playing all that much, and then all of a sudden within a week I burned through all 3 Max Payne games.
Nice.
Then I was kind of playing some other stuff, and then Stray, like this has gotten enough of my attention where I was like, no, I want to play this, and it's so well done. I love it. It's super cute as well too. Um, Honestly, my only, they're not even complaints, but my only recommendations I would say for it are, because I'm playing the PS5 version on PS5, so it has the DualSense controller.
Mhm.
I would have loved it if they could have just like added this, and they could have disabled it as well too, like have it as a feature but disable it. If you could feel like the pitter patter of the cat's paws when like your cat is walking around with the vibration,
Mm.
that would have been such a nice feature to have added in. Another thing, which this made me laugh, but like at one point, because your cat is wearing this kind of get up that has a piece of technology on the back of it,
Mhm.
and when this is strapped onto you, the cat is just like all of a sudden like low to the ground, can't walk
Mhm.
properly, it just hates its life, and it was hilarious. Um, and the thing is, then this computer kind of pops out and it's just like, oh, hey, yeah, we designed this for quadrupeds like you. Like, if you're uncomfortable, you'll get used to it. And then, like, boom, your cat's all good. I was explaining this to my girlfriend and she was like laughing, but she's like, well, that's not really realistic because she has a cat. She's like, my cat's been wearing a shirt for like a few months because of a thing. And like, she's still not used to it. She still walks really low to the ground. So I was thinking it would have been a really cool gameplay mechanic if they had it where it's like, your cat puts this on and then you're slow, but then you slowly start to kind of speed up. And then you're kind of like trying to do jumps, but your cat keeps missing jumps and falling off. And kind of like, Dying Light in a way where it doesn't have to be through the whole game, but maybe there's like a 15-20 minute adjustment period where your
Yeah.
cat is just kind of clumsy and slower and you can't do things as well, and you have to build up that skill again as the cat to actually go nimbly all over the place. I think that would have been a really cool like transition period to have in there.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That's what the sequel's for. When
Yes.
when you when you accidentally lose your backpack and all your skills.
Yes. Yes, that'd be great. But I did still think that was cute and hilarious when she's like, you get this like backpack thing on, all of a sudden cat is just low to the ground. Like, if you've ever seen cats wear clothes, it looked exactly like that.
Actually, it looked like they even motion captured the cats. Like even just the way that like
Yes.
the random ones were like licking their paws and looking around and checking things out. I'm like that. Those look real, like real cats. Like that. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah, all of the it's all incredibly accurate. It's very well researched. Like, it is it's truly a marvel of a game. It's incredibly well done, and I have nothing but good things to say about it. And even those two things, I hazard to even call them criticisms, also like recommendations. It's like, hey, these would have been cool little things to have, but it's all good, doesn't take away from the game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually is on my one to check out.
Yes, I highly recommend it. And for anybody who's listening who kind of might be on the fence about it, apparently the developer right now, I don't know how long they're doing this, hopefully it's kind of indefinitely, but any sales from the game, they're taking portions of the proceeds and they are donating them to get money to help homeless cats.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they're keeping a kitty. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Perfect.
Puns. Love it. Oh, PURR. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Perfect. Yes. Perfect. I guess if you yeah, I can roll my tongue, like my R's and all a little bit, so it works.
Pippin to Jordan.
But yeah, man, dude, this has been a really awesome episode. Thank you for coming on.
Oh,
This
thank you
this
for
has been a
inviting me. I
blast.
was like, heck yeah, I'll be on.
Yeah, yeah, you were very quick about it. Like I was like, oh, okay, like awesome. Like you're all down about it, and this is great.
That's how desperate he was for human contact.
No, it wasn't that. But there's typically like there's sometimes people that there might be like a little bit more back and forth or someone like, oh well, maybe I can do this. But you were just like very much like on it. Like, yes, I'd love to do this. Like, awesome. Okay, this will be good.
Oh man, this was a blast. This was really fun.
Yeah, well, awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There are some last things here.
Mm,
Typically, at the end, I do like to pick a keyword or a key phrase, so people who comment on the YouTube upload, they can use this, and then you and I, when we're going through the comments, will know who made it to the end here. But since we have you as a guest on, I will pass it on to you. What do you think people should use as a keyword or key phrase?
To so if they say the word, it means they actually made it to the end of the episode.
Yes.
That word will be Toshinden.
Toshinden. All right,
Yes.
like as in Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yes.
All right. Cool. So, anybody, have you played Battle Arena Toshinden? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Recently, I was actually playing it on the Game Boy, and I didn't like it very much. On the Game Boy, at least.
Oh, it was kind of cute though, like the 2D sprite artwork.
Yeah, it was, but I'm like, oh, also, why would I play this on here? Yeah. Although I am curious. I don't know if I want to get into a whole tangent about, it, but like, do you know why that game did not continue? There was 3 on the PS1, and that was it.
Well, there was okay. So I think this is gonna add like an extra 20 minutes. So in America there was only the 3 as far
Okay.
on PlayStation, and then the one Game Boy one. In Japan, I'm almost positive the PlayStation also got a puzzle game from it, and then I think there was a sequel on the Wii.
Really?
Raise an eyebrow. I think in Japan only. But don't quote me on that. There is a Toshinden 4 somewhere. Um, I think there were issues with the, and this is all hearsay, just me trying to open a filing cabinet from 15 years ago. I'm almost positive everyone kind of grifted more to the Namco stuff, and I
Sure.
thought I remember reading somewhere, maybe in a Game Fan magazine, old man wizard, that the character designer was dismayed at how his designs didn't come through in the 3D graphics at the time.
Okay.
I think that was but I think the overall was just that like it did like, but as much as Toshinden was fun, like after you've played like Soul Blade and Tekken and Dead or Alive, there's much better things on the menu.
That's true. Yes,
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I would I would kill I would kill to have that character designer. And I can't think of his name right now. I say that like I knew what it was before. Um, I would kill to have him teamed up with like the guys that did like Guilty Gear. Like
That'd be awesome.
they would look so like the police cop girl and Gaia alone in his original Toshinden 1 armor. It
Mhm.
would be phenomenal in their
Mhm.
art style.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played them in a while, but like, no, I mean, the most recent I played, I did replay the first one at one point. I was like, oh, this is rough, but
Yeah, it is.
yes.
I would say if you're looking to do a really cool like your kind of video thing with technical stuff, in
Hmm.
3, if you never played 3, it gave you the option to choose between textures and flat shaded, and if you went flat shaded, it made it a 60 frame per second game. Like
Really?
it was insane. Like there was no background per se, but that game was like it made Street Fighter Turbo blush as far as speed goes. It was
Wow.
incredible.
All right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to try that at one point.
do it.
Yes, yes. Well, real cool. I guess at the end here, if people want to know a bit more about you, follow you, see your work, anything, where can people find you online?
If you are on Twitter, and I have a friendly corner of Twitter, like there is no hatred here, I am at GameRave, GameRave. You can follow me on YouTube at GameRaveTV, all one word. And then game-rave.com is my website that has a bunch of extra social links for like Instagram and so forth. So if you need help, if you need observations, I'm here for you.
All right, awesome. And I'll be sure to put those down below in the description for this.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, man. Of course. Well, anyways, dude, seriously, thank you so much. This has been an absolute blast here. And is there anything else you have to say to the people here?
Just keep following Mario. He does amazing things, and he knows who to call when you need help.
Well, thanks, man. Not all the time. Hey, I didn't know who to call, which is why I put out that call to help. I was like, hey, can anybody figure this out, please?
Yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you
For
so
sure.
much.
Dude, no problem, man. This is great. Yeah. Anyways, as I always say, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for listening and watching, everyone. And until next month.
Laters.